Hit a little bit over 1,000 miles on the car. Not that many miles if you think about it for 2 months. Compared to Fat Cat. Shout out to my man Fat Cat. He has a great channel. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to his channel. It's literally called Fat Cat, and he has an awesome Dodge Charger, and that man has already put 25,000 miles in 1 year. And so that's, you want to get a true experience, that's probably it. And so again, I want to just go over some of the things. What do I think about the car? How has that car felt? How is it compared to my ZL1? They're totally different cars, right? It just are. They're just different cars. But, you know, did I make the right decision? Do I regret my decision in buying the Scat Pack? And what do I think about the overall experience? How the car drives and feels? Everything you can think of on the car, I'm going to try to talk about on this vlog right now. And again, I've owned the car roughly for about 2 months. I bought it last year on my birthday, and we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna take it for a quick spin, and you guys are gonna ride along on the passenger side as you typically do. So. By the way, it's a beautiful Sunday, again, Super Bowl Sunday. Weather outside here in Houston, Texas is about 58 degrees in the morning. I think it's gonna warm up to about maybe 60, 65. We're having a very, very mild winter in Houston. Typically our coldest month in Houston is around January, but more February. And so let's go ahead and take her for a spin and give you my thoughts and my impressions on the car. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is the height of the vehicle. You know, I've owned a lot of sports sedans and sports cars, and this one, it feels different in regards to when you're driving this car, you don't feel like you're in the car. And to be fair, that is something I do like. I like driving cars where I feel like I'm in the car. And let me further explain what I mean by that. When you get into the Dodge Challenger, and I don't know if the Charger is the same, by the way. I've never owned a Charger, but who knows? That wide body looks sharp. When you get on this car, you feel like you're sitting high up, like you're up. It's kind of a weird experience, and the seats do not allow you to adjust enough to actually pull the seats down, or, you know, I have it right now as far as they'll go down, and that's the most they'll go. And so it is a very weird sensation to feel like you're on the car. You're not in the car. What's cool about that, though, is that, you know, if I roll down my window, I can actually put my hand out and let it rest, which is awesome. On my Camaro, I couldn't do it because you sit so far in the car, you know, that you actually are like kind of, you know, your elbows kind of high up, and it is a little bit uncomfortable. I do like, moving on from that, I do like how dynamic the car is in regards to the different drive modes. And, you know, this is going to come with your eco mode and sport suspension and track suspension and so on and so forth. I traditionally drive my car in track. I love to have a complete road feel of the car. Not only can you adjust the suspension, but you can also adjust the steering feel, so you can give it a very, very light, you know, steering feel, or you can adjust it to where the steering wheel it feels heavy. And so I do like that, and I like that you can adjust the suspension. And so those two things are pretty awesome about the vehicle. And you could do the same thing with the Camaro ZL1 1LE that I had. The only difference is you couldn't adjust the suspension because it's one suspension. And as you guys know, you got to look at my previous vlogs around my old Camaro ZL1. And I guess the only thing I think that I miss, and the only thing that after owning it for about 2 months that I be, or as honest as I can be, and that is, I do not know so far if 475 horsepower is enough for me. Now let me take that back a little bit. It's important for me just to state that 475 horses will be plenty for a lot of people. I think it's 485. So I stand corrected. Most people coming from a traditional car, if they come to a car like this with 485 horsepower, they're going to think it is the fastest thing they've ever gone on, and it is more than enough power. And if you go onto YouTube right now, there's a lot of people that will tell you this is enough power. And again, it's all based on perspective, and all is based on what car did you previously have to make such a statement. And so I've been a little bit spoiled. I've come from cars that have some very high horsepower cars. And, you know, I owned a Hellcat 2016. And I just recently, again, traded in my Camaro ZL1 1LE, which had 650 horses. And so I wanted to make sure I made that clear and to allow you to kind of understand my perspective and what do I consider fast. Again, fast is all relative. It all depends on where and what have you driven in your past. For me though, that's my biggest regret, I think. It's just not enough power. It is not a fast car for me. For me. And again, I just want to make sure I clarify that. And so I do believe that the next ride I'm going to have, it's going to have way more horsepower than this, because I've gotten addicted to that type of power, and I know what true power is. It's in a different level. It's in a different adrenaline rush. That Hellcat, when I had it, and that ZL1, it just, when you go, guys, the car is gone. Like, it is extremely fast. Like, lights start like looking like lines because you're going so fast, and cars just kind of go by you. This car does not have that. It is a fast car, it's just not a super fast car. And I could see going back to the ZL1 1LE again. I do miss the handling of that car and the look of the car, the rarity of that car, and the horsepower of that car. The 10-speed on the one I had was great, but I still think that the 8-speed ZF on the Hellcat or Scat Pack, which is what I'm driving right now, a little detuned compared to the Hellcat, is one of the best transmissions, and I still put it at the top. I haven't got on the GT500, and of course, the big talk around the GT500 is that dual clutch it's as closest to the Porsche PDK. I don't know about that, but that's what people are saying, that it is a very fast shifting transmission. So who knows, man, that GT500 might just do it for me. It's giving me several things. It's giving me the best transmission, amazing horsepower. Those back seats just really come in from a practicality perspective. Granted, the back seats are not the biggest, but my kids are small right now, and so it'll work perfectly fine for me. So going back to this car, I guess overall I like the specs. Everything this car offers is great. The transmission is great. The way it handles is great. She is a big car, and you can feel it at times, but it's just missing that horsepower. The good thing is that Dodge has a class above this, which is a Hellcat. And so, you know, I'm not knocking the car. I think if you own this car, it is a great car. I think it's a fantastic car. I just been spoiled, guys, from high horsepower cars. And I'm going to tell you guys is once you go to that level of horsepower, is very hard for you to kind of go back. You know, it's very hard for you to go back because you've tasted that level of performance and power in a vehicle, right? And so if you haven't experienced a Hellcat and you think this car is more than enough for you, don't experience a Hellcat. It will ruin you. It will ruin your overall belief of what true horsepower is, and it's better for you to just to stay away, because you're gonna believe that this car is more than enough, and it's a true statement. For more people it is, but again, it's all from perspective, and it all depends on where you're coming from and what is it that you have, right? And so I'm really enjoying this car. I need more horsepower. I just do, and I think that's my biggest, you know, regret on this car is. And to be fair, there was a lot of folks that commented when I switched over from my ZL1 over to this, and they just couldn't believe it, right? They couldn't believe that I went from that car, and most people believed that my next step down would have been, you know, a red eye or at least a Hellcat. And so a lot of people were shocked on the channel, as you can imagine, that not only did I go down, but I stepped down another one. And I don't believe I stepped down, because you're getting the same car. The only difference in the Hellcat is you're getting a much powerful engine, and of course the suspension bits and some other stuff internally do change a little bit, but not significant. The biggest change in reality is the tuning of the suspension on the Hellcat, and of course the power. And so again, guys, it's just that's what my overall impression of this car. I think overall the car drives great, feels great, transmission is still fantastic. The look of the car is just classic Dodge, but it just has an amazing road presence. The car gets a lot of stairs. It's an amazing car, and if you own this car, hey, enjoy it. You're gonna love it. It's a great car. However, for me, it's a horsepower thing now, and it's not about I'm trying to have the most horsepower than anybody out there, or I'm trying to show off that I have the most horsepower. No, this is a me decision, right? It's when you get to that level of being spoiled around horsepower, what happens is you start to chase that level of adrenaline, that level of just intensity when you drive a high horsepower car. It changes the overall perspective of how the car feels and rides, and it's like psychologically shifts your brain in a different spectrum that you've never even thought of when you're at those levels of power. And so that's the biggest thing for me. And so, you know, shout out to Dodge, and continue to build some fantastic cars. And the Dodge Scat Pack is a great car. But again, I think my next car will absolutely be the either Dodge Charger Hellcat Widebody, might even be the GT500. I gotta just allow for the hype to die out. Or I can go back to the ZL1. We'll see. But that's the end of my vlog, guys. I wanted to just put a quick video on my overall 2-month ownership, 1,000 miles on the car. Wanted to give just a quick perspective on that. And so that's what it is, guys. And so if you guys enjoy the Super Bowl, tomorrow's Monday already, so it's a work week for me. I'll be flying out, but you guys take it easy, have fun watching the Super Bowl with the family, and you guys try to take it easy out there. Again, this is Car Connections. Make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share, like the video. Make sure you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Peace out.